This video is brought to you by our friends at Hbada. I won't say this turned me into some kind of iPhone power user, but I will say when I finally learned how to customize my iPhone to my liking, it sure made using it a lot easier. In this short but helpful video, I'll show you that with a handful of tweaks, you can turn your iPhone into a tool that suits you perfectly. Hi, my name is Rich, and year after year Apple has slowly made the iPhone more customizable, and iOS 18's release last year was no exception. Now, I have a certain way I like to set up my iPhone that may not be the way you'd like to set up yours. I get that. In fact, my wife's iPhone is pretty much the polar opposite of mine, but it works for her and that's good. But here's the thing. Taking a few minutes to learn how to customize your iPhone can make all the difference in whether you enjoy using it or just, well, tolerate it. Today, I'm going to show you how I've tweaked my iPhone to suit me and how you can do the same thing to suit you. My guess is you may already know some of these tips, but I'm pretty sure there's at least one super useful tip you don't know about. So today I'm going to cover wallpapers and where to find them. I get so many questions about wallpapers. Lock screen setup, it's something we overlook all the time. Today view widgets, which help keep everything clean. Home screen simplicity, you know I'm all about that. And then really the powerhouse feature is Control Center customization. And if you stick around until the end, I'll show you how I created a simple yet powerful wallpaper switcher shortcut. All good stuff. Okay, let's get started. Okay, first up, I just want to talk to you about wallpapers. As you can tell, I have a whole bunch of iPhones here, and I'm just going to set these three aside for now, and we're just going to take a look. I tend to like simple, easy, clean wallpapers. It just makes finding things a little bit easier for me. But that's up to you. You can choose whatever suits you, and that's the whole point of this video, is that you customize your iPhone the way that suits you. And if you want to create a new wallpaper, you can press, tap and hold, and swipe down from the top like this, then tap and hold again, and now you can take a look at all the wallpapers you've created. And you can just slide over until you come to the big plus, and you can tap that. And Apple gives you a whole bunch of choices here. You've got some featured wallpapers, photo shuffles, astronomy, kaleidoscope. I mean, look at this one. If I had that on my screen and then I had a bunch of widgets around it, I'd never be able to find anything. My eyes just don't work that well. If you do choose something and you don't like it, you can just tap cancel over here. But there's already a lot of built-in things that you can choose from, including some simple ones down here like just color gradients. And you can choose something like this, and now you've got kind of a clean home screen. And also you can swipe between styles too. You've got vibrant, you can change it to a different tone, a deep, a vapor, a bright, and solid with no gradient characteristics at all. So you have some choices there. But what I like to do is go to the web and find interesting wallpapers. And so how I do that, we'll just go back to this wallpaper. How I do that is I go into Safari, and I typically go to Google and I type in 5K minimalist wallpaper. That happens to be what I like, but maybe you'll type in colorful wallpapers or flower wallpapers or countryside wallpapers, something like that. But I typed in 5K minimalist wallpapers, and up popped up a whole bunch of different wallpapers here. And when you go through them and you find something you like, you can just tap on it. So I'll tap on that one, and here it is. And to save that, all you have to do is tap and hold and tap Save to Photos, just like that. And now, when you go to your Photos app, you're going to see that wallpaper that you just saved right there. And now you've got that photo in your Photos app that you can use to create a wallpaper. So we're going to do that again. We're going to swipe down from the top, going to tap and hold. We're going to go over and hit the plus. And this time we're going to choose Photos up here. I'm going to tap on Photos. And if you'll notice, where are my photos? For some reason it defaults to featured, but you have to tap on All right there. And this is the photo that we just chose right there. So I've got that, and I can squeeze it down, I can make it bigger, I can keep it simple, I can go from natural to black and white to duotone to color wash, so you still have those options of sliding through it. But now I've kind of got a wallpaper that I like, but maybe I don't want this color here, so you can customize this too, some of these colors. I'm going to tap on that, and I can change it to a different color. I can change the shading on it, but I don't really want to do that. I'm just going to go to the all color section all the way at the end, and I think I'm going to make it black like that. And then I'm going to choose a different font like that, and I'm going to make it a little smaller like that. I'm going to add a widget. I'll add the weather widget and my calendar like that. And now I click Add. And if you'll notice, you've got Set Wallpaper Pair, and then you've got Customize Home Screen. I'm going to tap on Customize Home Screen, because if you'll notice, it's kind of blurred that photo out. And a lot of times you do want blurring on your home screen because it makes the icons stand out. But I don't like a lot of icons on my home screen, so I don't like the blurring. So I turn the blurring off like that. I tap Done. And now I've got a new wallpaper just like that. And you can go to the web and you can find all of these interesting wallpapers that you like and then customize your screens the way you want them to be. Pretty handy. Okay, I'm going to grab another phone here. The next thing I want to talk to you about is lock screen setup. So here I am on the home screen. If I just turn my phone off and then turn it back on again, here's the lock screen. And again, you can see the time and the wallpaper that I put there and that. And then you'll see a couple widgets down here, a flashlight and a camera. And if you tap on and hold the flashlight, you can turn the flashlight on just like that. And you can tap and hold and turn it off. And likewise, you can get to the camera. If you tap and hold that, you can just get to your camera. And those are really handy little features to have. It's a way to get to something really quick without having to dive deep into the iPhone to get it. But I'll be honest with you, I don't use the flashlight and the camera that way. I don't know why, just never have. So what I've done on my phone is I've chosen a couple of things that make a difference in how I use it. And this might give you an idea of what you can do as well. So I'm going to get to my lock screen. I'm going to slide down, and then I'm going to tap and hold, and I'm going to tap on Customize again, and then I'm going to tap on lock screen. And this time I'm going to remove the flashlight and I'm going to remove the camera. And I'm just going to tap the little minus, and now they're gone. And if you'll notice, it's replaced with a plus, which means I can put anything in there that I want, or anything that'll go in there. So I'm going to tap on that. And now I've got a whole bunch of control choices here that I can choose from. And one of the things that I found handy for me is the ability to take a quick note. So I'm going to search up here for quick note, and I found it right here, and I'm going to tap on that. And so now I've got a quick note there. And over here, I'm going to tap, and I'm going to actually put Siri in there. And you'll see what I mean. I'm going to tap on Talk to Siri, and then I'm going to tap Done. And just like that, I've modified my lock screen. And if I want to take a quick note, I can just tap and hold it, and up comes a quick note. So what that means is that if I'm out and about, and I have my phone, and I need to quickly write something down, I can just tap on it, tap and hold the quick note, just like that, and then begin typing the quick note right in. And I can do that very, very quickly, and it's all right from the lock screen. Likewise, I can ask Siri, do I have any appointments today? There's nothing scheduled for the rest of today, so that's nice and handy. Sometimes I want to know if the Reds are playing, so I can just tap. Are the Cincinnati Reds playing today? Yeah, so they're playing the Giants this afternoon. So that's the kind of things that I've done on my lock screen by putting a quick note feature and Ask Siri or Talk to Siri feature there. And it's just proved to be really handy. And you can, of course, set up anything you want there, but it's something to think about. Now is a great time to tell you about Hbada's E3 ergonomic office chair. This is by no means your typical big box office store chair. Both the design and craftsmanship are just stellar. I've sat and worked in office chairs as an attorney for decades, and I can tell you there were times I could barely stand up at the end of a long day. That doesn't happen with the E3, and that's what makes it so special. I've seen other YouTubers raving about this chair, and now that I've had a chance to test drive it, I can see why. There are just so many features. First is the floating wing lumbar support. You can adjust it not only front to back, but also up and down. Finding that sweet spot is crucial to anyone with lower back issues like me. But what I love most about this thing are the floating wings that rotate in and out to snugly support your body. These clever wings allow me to keep a more correct posture when sitting for a long period of time. The headrest is just as feature-rich. It not only adjusts up and down to accommodate different heights, but also front to back to accommodate different postures. After a few minutes of adjustment, I found the exact spot that fits me like a glove. And that's because the shape of the headrest follows the curve of my neck, providing perfect support. Now the armrests, they are just clever. They adjust up and down like a lot of better quality chairs, and they rotate left to right. So far, so good. But they also have a 40-degree fold-up mechanism that provides ideal support for your arms when you're using your tablet or phone. I love it. And the next feature is a first for me. A built-in footrest. It's retractable and out of the way until you need it. I don't know about you, but I can use a power nap every once in a while, and the ability to recline while having my legs elevated is perfect for that. There's just so much attention to detail that's gone into this chair. It's got an adjustable cushion for different leg lengths and heights, fully breathable mesh coverage made of nylon and yarn for durable support. It's stylish and will fit into any office space. It's a great gaming chair, a chair for studying, for reading, for computer work, video calls, and more. This chair is built to last. You know, I consider the E3 to be a high-end chair, but it is surprisingly affordable. If you'd like to learn more about the Hbada E3, be sure to check out the link in the description below. And thanks to our friends at Hbada for their support of this channel. You know, next up is something that just sort of escapes the radar most of the time. If you swipe left, you'll get over to your app library. You may have a whole bunch of screens of apps all over the place. I keep everything in the app library. I like it nice and clean. But there is a place for widgets, and that's in the Today view. And if you swipe to the right, you can get to Today view. And here you can add widgets. So if you tap and hold, I'll just remove these widgets like this. And then you can see you can go up to Edit, and you can tap on Add Widget, and I'm going to tap on Countdown. That's an app I have. It keeps track of birthdays for me. And I usually put informational widgets in here, stuff that I don't necessarily interact with. I mean, I'm not typing and that kind of stuff. It's just something I can glance at and get some information. So I like to have birthdays pop up there so I don't miss anyone's birthday. I'm going to tap Edit again, and I'm going to add another widget. And of course, I like the weather widget, because who doesn't like the weather widget? And I also like to keep news in there too, so I'll add that widget, and I'll go down to News, and I'll add that widget. So now I have 3 widgets in Today view, and they're just kind of tucked out of the way, but I can get over there to them quickly if I need them. And of course, you can interact with them. You can tap on the weather widget, and you can get the weather, just as simple as that. You can tap on the news and get the news, or a podcast in this case that shows up on Apple News. And it's just a great way to keep some information tucked away on the other side of your clean home screen, the Today view. Give it a try. You know, as you saw on the previous iPhone, I don't like anything on my home screen, and this is really a matter of choice. My wife likes to have all kinds of icons and apps on her home screen because she uses them that way. And what I find for me, unless I have just the necessity or the important things that I use, I sort of get lost in all of the information. So I like to keep things clean, and I would encourage you to give it a try and see if it works. what I do is I remove everything, and then what I find is as I use an app, if it's something I use over and over, I bring it back to the home screen or I bring it back to the dock. And removing these is pretty simple. You can tap and hold, and then you can just take one of these icons that you have on your home screen and kind of jiggle it a little like that. Then you can just tap one at a time like this, and they'll all get up underneath your finger, and then you can slide over to your app library, and then just drag them into a square and let go like that. And they populate just fine. And now you've got just the weather widget up there. You can take that off. You can remove that. And now you've got a perfectly good, clean home screen. You've got the Today view on one side. You've got your app library on the other side. And you've got whatever apps you use in the dock down at the bottom. I always put communication apps down there. I typically have phone and messages and maybe FaceTime, things like that. And sometimes I put email in there as well. But the point is that you can customize your iPhone to suit you the way that you want it to be. Now, there's a couple of other features and things to know about. As you customize your iPhone with iOS 18, you can do a number of different things. So I'm going to add a widget. We'll add this countdown widget again. And we'll put that up at the top right there. And then I'm going to add some apps back. So now I've got them set up that way. But if you'll notice, they're kind of dark. They always used to be light, but now you can make them dark. So if you go into Edit and you go to Customize, you can change them to light, and there's the old style apps. And if you notice, you can change them to small. And this is the way they've always been, just up until iOS 18, which is where they had the name of the application underneath the icon. So you can see reminders and notes and FaceTime and photos. But if you want larger icons, you can tap large, and then it does away with the words underneath. And so I kind of like that because I already know what these apps are. I know that's photos, I know that's reminders. But you can also change them to dark down here, so you can tap dark, and now you get a color scheme like that. Or you can actually choose tinted. And now you've got them tinted that way, sort of to match the background, and you can of course change the brightness of them like that. I'm going to go back in and just change them to dark, leave them large, and then there I've got my home screen set up with new looking icons that are a little bit larger. And you can do the same thing, or if you're like me, you can get rid of all of it and just keep it really, really simple. Okay, the next thing I want to show you is Control Center. Now, I've made a bunch of videos on Control Center through the years, and it's really grown in its functionality. But if you're going to have a clean home screen like this and you need to get to an app, I know for me, sliding over here and then trying to find the app, that can be a little bit confusing too. So it's almost easier to have the app over here. But you know, I kind of like having that clean home screen. So up until recently, you couldn't have both. You either had to go dig for it over here or you had to put it on your home screen. But now there's kind of an in-between on that, and that's Control Center. If you swipe from the top right, you get Control Center. And this is what it used to look like, kind of like that. But now you have favorites, you have different categories over here. This is communications and connections. You've got one for music. But as always, I like to clean all of these things out. So I'm just going to tap and hold, and I'm going to remove the music over here. And by the way, you can have lots of pages of different things in here. So you can have each one of these little circles represents a tool that you can put into Control Center. And of course you can make them bigger, you can make them larger like this, you can make them really small, you know, that kind of thing. But for now I'm going to remove that, and then I'm going to go up here and I'm just going to remove this whole bit here, and that's all gone. And then up in my favorites, I like to keep dark mode, I like to keep screen brightness and audio. And that's where I like to start, and those always rest right there. But here's where the power comes in, because they've added the ability to open applications from Control Center. So if I tap and I tap on Add Control, I'm going to search and I'm going to type in Open App. And here you can see I've got Open App as an option, and I'm going to tap on that. And now it'll ask me what app do I want to open. So I'm just going to go down and say Notes. And I'm going to make it bigger so that I can actually see what it is. And I'm going to add another control. I'm going to do Open App again. And now, when you're done, I don't have notes over here. I don't have to go over here to dig around and try to find notes. I can just go to Control Center and tap on Notes, just like that. And I get a note. I get my notes all up through just like that. And that all came from just Control Center. I can tap on Contacts and I can get information from there. I can tap on Maps and I can get map information. And that's all from Control Center, and you can see how quickly that you can do that. And you can just customize this any way you want, and you can add a number of different pages to it. But that's the power of Control Center, and that's something I would encourage you to play with, because that'll really help you customize your iPhone. Okay, if you've made it this far, the last thing I want to show you is a way to change your wallpapers very, very quickly. We're going to go back into Control Center. I'm going to tap and hold. We're going to add a control, and this time it's going to be a shortcut, so I'm going to search for that. I see shortcut, and I'm going to choose the shortcut, and I've created a shortcut called Switch Between Wallpapers, right there. I don't think I'll make that big like the rest of them. And now if you'll notice, I've got a wallpaper here. If I swipe down and I just tap on that, it gives me a little icon of each one of the wallpapers I have, and I can just tap on it and it changes the wallpaper, just like that. And I don't have to go through a whole bunch of rigmarole and sliding down and pressing and tapping and all that kind of stuff. Just go into Control Center, tap on Switch Between Wallpapers, choose another wallpaper, and like that, I've got another wallpaper. So let me show you how I did that very quickly. This isn't a video on how to create shortcuts, but I do want to show you what I've done on that shortcut, so you can give it a try if you want to. So I'm going to go into Shortcuts, and here is the shortcut. So I typed in Get All Wallpapers, and I added that. And then I typed in Get Again, and I chose Items in Range, but when you first pull it up, it's going to say Ask Each Time or First Item, one of these, but you want Items in Range. And the range is the number of wallpapers you have. I happen to have 11 different wallpapers, so I said get the items in range 1 to 11 from Wallpapers. That's what I chose, and then I typed in Switch. So there's three things I've added: Get All Wallpapers, Get Items in Range, which is my 11 wallpapers, and Switch from the item in the list. And then I just gave it a name, Switch Between Wallpapers, and I typed Done. And then I had that shortcut. Then I came back over here, I added the shortcut in Control Center, and now when I tap on it like this, I can choose a different wallpaper. Let's say we'll choose this one. And now I've got a pretty different wallpaper. And it's just a very quick way to do it. Just like that. I love it. It's handy, it's easy, and it makes me keep my iPhone feeling fresh all the time. And those are just some ways that you can customize your iPhone. You know, making your iPhone work for you is the trick to getting the most out of it. And customizing it is the way you do that. Well, I hope you found this video helpful, and if you made it this far, thanks so much for watching. And I'll see you, as always, in the next video.